Welcome to playing famous jazz songs, but the meter always changes. For this video, I arranged Glenn Miller's classic arrangement of In the Mood, but I made it so that the meter always changes and you can't dance to it. So I had the idea to arrange In the Mood like this about a year ago. I didn't want to change any of the notes at all. I wanted to keep it all the same and just change the rhythms and the meter as much as possible so that it's really not danceable. So let's see where everything went wrong. Oh boy. So we don't take any time to start messing with this. So for this introduction section, there are in total 4 extra added beats. 2 of them are in this first opening line. So I tried to make this a little subtle so you may not exactly know what I'm doing with this arrangement yet, but within a few bars you're going to figure it out pretty quick. So originally the second part of this introduction would sound like this in 4/4. So it's basically the same idea played twice. But what I did in this arrangement is I added a beat to each phrase, but in different spots. So the first time I go, and then the second time I add that extra beat at the beginning of the bar. So by this point in the arrangement, you should have a pretty good idea that I'm starting to mess with the time signatures a lot. And then we get into the melody, and I really mess with that. So, we're in 3/4. This classic In the Mood 4/4 swing is in 3/4 now. So what I did to accomplish this is I took the main motif and I made the first 2 eighth notes quarter notes instead. Which ends up being a 3-bar phrase in 3/4. Not only that, but you also have this bass line that kind of messes with you a little bit as well. So this bass line kind of hints at, a regular feeling too, as if we're playing 4/4. But instead what it does is it creates sort of a hemiola over a 6/4 bar and then follows that by a 3/4 bar. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1. So this all combines together to really confuse the listener a lot. And then at the end of this first repeat, we just have this very rhythmically confusing accents. So this part is mostly groupings of 3 with the accents. But there is actually one grouping of 4 in it, which really throws things off. Then going into this next section, we land on a strong downbeat, which you think is 1, but I actually made it a hard land on beat 4 before the next section. And then we change the rhythms again. So in the first statement of this theme of In the Mood, I told you that I took the straight eighth note line and I made the first 2 notes quarter notes. Well, in this version of the melody, instead of just the first 2 eighth notes becoming quarter notes, I made the first 4 eighth notes become quarter notes. Which extends the phrase even longer. So it's a 3-bar phrase where the first bar is 4/4, the second bar is 3/4, and the third bar is 4/4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the melodic phrase. So if by the end of the first repeat you kind of got the hang of the melody, this is another thing that I inserted in just to throw you off a little bit more because I really wanted to try to make this not danceable. So this was just another twist to sort of keep you on your toes. So now we move on to the second theme. So now for this section, we've actually gone into 7/4, split up 4 and 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 7/4 at this tempo I think is really great for throwing people off because it sounds a lot like you might expect, but then every second bar it just sort of jumps a beat. It's kind of like a record player skipping. And the only thing I really changed from the original in this first part is just cutting out a beat that the last note of the melody was extended or holding out. And then in the third part of this phrase, I again change it again. So you think you're getting comfortable with the 7/4. Well, I'm going to change that again, and I'm going to make these notes quarter notes rather than eighth notes. So they're going to go by a lot slower. And then we repeat melodically that same phrase again, but I'm trying to confuse everyone, so I'm obviously going to change it again. So the main difference here is that instead of a bar of 7, I made it a bar of 6. That 4 plus 3 has now become a 4 plus 2. And I did that by just getting rid of 2 eighth notes. And then this third time we go through that, where before I had extended all the notes to quarter notes, I did that again until the end of the bar when I made them eighth notes again. So that even in the repeated sections, there's still something new every time. Now, the next 2 sections were originally a saxophone duel between the alto and tenor saxophone, and then a trumpet solo. Both of these sections, I decided to write it in 7/4, but the first set of solos are going to be in 4 plus 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. For the second solo, which was originally the trumpet solo, I'm going to make that in 3 plus 4. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 7/4 is a great meter to throw people off because it's kind of normal, but it's also kind of like a record player skipping. So the solos are pretty close to what was originally played in the record, and it's written in the parts, and you kind of have to play these solos if you're playing the big band chart. Try to mess with the rhythms a little bit, to mess with the meters, maybe be a little more showy, but basically keep the original solo. Also, to make sure that the focus remained on the solo, I kept the backgrounds very simple, outlining that 7/4. So for the saxophone solo, trying to be really obvious about what the meter is and where everything is going so that the focus is not on the backgrounds but is on the solos instead. And then when we get to the trumpet solo, the backgrounds mimic the saxophone backgrounds and the original version. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we get to this last section of the tune where it plays that main theme, gradually getting softer for 3 choruses, and then one loud, bombastic, raucous last chorus. And the way I decided to treat this, including the gradual decrescendo and throughout all of this, was the first time it plays a theme, I played it as I did in the first repeat, where the first 2 notes were lengthened to a quarter note. The second time we play it, which is going to be a little bit quieter, I play it the way I did on the second repeat, where the first 4 notes are quarter notes. The third time, which is going to be as soft as possible and getting softer, I keep the tune in 3/4 all the way through. I treat the bass line as I did in that first repeat, but the melody is going to be displaced every 3/8 notes. So 1, bop, 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 1. So the third repeat is going to have this really strong hemiola feel. And by now, I think I've tortured you all enough. So I'm going to play the melody as it was originally written in 4/4. No tricks, no nothing. The rest of this is basically the chart as it was originally written, to congratulate those of you who could listen through all of this torture. So I hope you enjoyed this analysis of all the various meter changes that I did in this arrangement of In the Mood. If there are any dancers out there that see this and want to try dancing to this, I would love to see it. Love to see what you come up with it. I have no idea how you're supposed to dance to this, but I'm sure it'd be a lot of fun to see people try or people fail. Failing that dancing is also a lot of fun to watch. So if you are bad at dancing, feel free to video yourself failing at dancing. The internet will appreciate that. If you'd be interested in seeing some of the other stuff that I didn't get to in this arrangement, I'll be uploading a video to my Patreon where I talk about some of the stuff I didn't have time to talk about in this video, exclusively on Patreon. I also have some other exclusive videos from the past few months that I've put up on my Patreon that if you join now, you can still go back and look at. Or if you just want to support me through Patreon, that works as well. On my Patreon, I also give long descriptions about my arrangements, what I'm thinking about when I'm writing it, some of the ideas that I was trying to explore. So if you're interested in that, feel free to go and check that out. So make sure to like and subscribe. I have videos coming out every Friday right now. Some really exciting stuff coming up. So I hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you in the next video.